26 people have been killed in a terrorist attack targeted at tourists in Jammu and Kashmir's Pahalgam. The attack took place at Baisaran Valley, a popular tourist hotspot known as Mini Switzerland. Suspected terrorists opened fire, killing 26 people. This marks the deadliest terror attack in India on civilians since the 26/11 Mumbai attacks. Home Minister Amit Shah arrived in the valley yesterday and he visited the attack site today. He reviewed the security situation, held meetings with Lieutenant Governor Major Manoj Sinha, and Chief Minister Omar Abdullah. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Narendra Modi cut short his Saudi Arabia visit and arrived in Delhi. Upon his arrival, an emergency meeting was convened at the airport with National Security Advisor Ajit Doval and External Affairs Minister Subramaniam Jaishankar. The resistance front, an offshoot of terror outfit Lashkar-E-Taiba, has claimed responsibility for the attacks. Security agencies have released sketches of the suspects and a manhunt is underway. Kashmir Valley is now observing a near total shutdown against a terror attack for the first time in 35 years. Schools, colleges, businesses and organizations from all walks of life are supporting the Bandh call to protest the attack on tourists. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh promised a loud and clear response against the attack soon.
आतंकवादियों द्वारा किए गए कायरतापूर्ण हमले में हमारे देश ने अनेक निर्दोष नागरिकों को खोया है। इस घोर अमानवीय कृत्य से हम सभी गहरे शोक और दर्द में हैं। टेररिज्म के खिलाफ हमारी जीरो टॉलरेंस की पॉलिसी है। ऐसी हरकतों का जिम्मेदार और इसके जिम्मेदार लोगों को आने वाले कुछ ही समय में जोरदार तरीके से नजर आएगा। मैं देशवासियों को आश्वस्त करना चाहता हूं।
Baisaran Valley is a popular tourist hotspot which is accessible to tourists only on foot or on a pony ride. A 6-kilometer dirt track connects Pahalgam to Baisaran Valley. Ishan Vani visits the site of the attack.
This is the route to Baisaran, and this is actually no route at all. It's muddy, there are big boulders, and it's difficult to even walk on these. Even if I wore a normal shoes, it would be impossible to come here. Generally, tourists take pony and come here for leisure, but everywhere you look, there are marks and signs of the disaster that happened yesterday and something which was unexpected. Look how I have to walk through these steep and jump into certain places. There were rains that have further dampened the condition of this particular route. It's a trek generally taken by several tourists. They use ponies, as I said. It might be beautiful, but scariest of scenes were witnessed yesterday here on this difficult terrain to reach where the carnage took place yesterday.
I'm now joined by former Ambassador Ashok Sajjanar, security analyst Anju Gupta, Ahmed Ali Fayaz, a journalist based out of Jammu and Kashmir, with us as well. Ahmed Fayaz, I would like to ask you about the response of the people in the valley to this ghastly attack that we've seen near Pahalgam.
There have been attacks in the last 35 years. This kind of attacks have taken place in the 90s and up to the year 2003, March 2003, when a massacre of Kashmiri Pandits took place in Nadibarg. That was in March 2003. So every time there has been a response, but this response is different in the sense that this time people at many places came out openly. Not many of them did name Pakistan and militants, but it was directly against them, because on such occasions we did not see protest demonstrations or any sort of negative reactions against terrorists in the past. This is first time that the people have come out at many places, and this is for the first time that a complete shutdown is being observed across Kashmir Valley. In Jammu there have been in the past, but this is for the first time in Kashmir Valley that a shutdown is being observed against Pakistan and against the people who are believed to be Pakistan-sponsored terrorists who are responsible for this dastardly act. So people this time they have expressed it, they have come out on the roads. We have seen, you must have seen some candlelight marches in the past, but they were limited to just 5, 10 or 20 people. But this time quite a large number of people. There are expressions from everybody, even the mainstream politicians who usually support and who usually demand the government should talk to Pakistan, and they call Afzal Guru and Maqbul Bhatt and other people as so-called heroes, and they subscribe to their ideology. They people have all gone. They have been muted this time, and this is for the first time again that a robust political and intellectual support structure which Pakistan enjoyed in Kashmir in the last 30 years, that has been completely muted, that's completely silent today. You must have seen when the Cheti Singhpura massacre took place that time, it did not take them even 10 hours or 12 hours to create an impression that this has been done by India, by themselves, because Bill Clinton, President of the United States, was in country, he was visiting. This time, the same would have been there. They would have created this kind of a narrative that J.D. Vance, the United States Vice President, is visiting here, and this has been done by India itself. But I did not hear anybody saying this kind of a thing. I did not say anybody trolling or criticizing the people who are critical of the terrorists openly this time. So this is a completely different reaction.
Okay, now let me also get in Anju Gupta at this point. Anju Gupta, how do you assess the involvement of Pakistan in this? How would you explain this to our viewers? You know, it is being said by many security analysts that the manner in which these terrorists acted, the fact that they were asking about the religious identity of each of the people they targeted, shows that they were not locals. How do you see a Pakistan hand and the correlation here?
Good evening, Parikshit. Thanks for having me on the show. You would recall on March 11, a passenger train between Quetta and Peshawar was hijacked in Pakistan, Balochistan area. And there were about hundreds of security personnel on that train. And the BLA, the Baloch Liberation Army, claimed that attack, and they segregated security personnel from civilian by checking their I-cards. It took all the might of Pakistan 36 hours to free that, to end that standoff. But interestingly, you know, when the army started briefing the press, even while the standoff was continuing, they started playing, the video clips of what was coming on Indian television, which was nothing but just reporting. And they started calling it an information warfare, thereby saying that this operation, this hijack had been done with the support of India and also Afghanistan. And the information warfare is playing out on Indian television and social media. They also talked about wiretrap with the set between, a handler in Afghanistan and a militant on board. So in what they were doing was they blamed India and they blamed Afghanistan for that attack on a passenger train recently on March 11. And that set the stage for a revenge attack. I think on this show, I'd say the same thing, that this is something that is going to probably show up in some manner. Now, a few days ago, Chief of Army Staff, General Asim Munir, made brazen statements about Kashmir, which I'm sure have been repeated on your show, that Kashmir is a jugular vein and that we haven't forgotten our brethren. It looked like a warning. When I heard this, it looked like a warning. Why should Chief of Army Staff be making this statement out of the blue? Third, the modus operandi definitely points to involvement of foreign terrorists. See, this is the area where there were tourists who would be carrying mobiles, they'll be taking pictures and videos, etc. Locals normally would not have the guts to kind of be, to be captured in photos and videos and all. And we've seen so many of them have come out, number one. Number two, it was a bold and brazen attack, which was carried out only for 20 minutes. And after 20 minutes, there was a professional getaway from that area because they knew help could come in 20 minutes. They could get away. There may have been local support. It is a subject of investigation, but all this points to I think the Pakistan's footprints signatures are there all over. So, but let's wait for the investigation to come out and, give us more details.
Right. Let me get in Ambassador Sajjanar at this point. Ambassador Sajjanar, what do you feel about the international response that we've seen since the attack took place, and the stories have been unfolding, tragic stories of civilians being targeted, young couples? The Navy officer was just married 4 to 5 days ago. He was on his honeymoon when this happened. They didn't really spare anybody. But the kind of condemnation that we've seen, where do you think that leaves India in terms of responding to Pakistan at this point?
Yeah, thank you very much, Parikshit. You're very right. You know, the stories that we've been seeing and the images that you are playing out on your screen, they are truly heart-wrenching. But, you know, the comments that have come from the global leadership, I don't think they have really been motivated by the personal stories, you know, you spoke about the naval officer, you know, Lieutenant Narwal, who's sort of, you know, just got married. I think the whole issue that, you know, the terrorists came in and butchered 26, 28, you know, the current number seems to be 28 people who have died, succumbed to their injuries. So the fact that it has been done and all of them have been killed in cold blood, I think that has really shaken the global community. And all these statements that we have received, whether it is from President Donald Trump or Vice President J.D. Vance, who's in India at the moment, or President Putin, or Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni, or the UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer. So I think all of them have shown full support as far as India is concerned. I think this has been evident. India has been speaking about its zero tolerance level as far as terrorism is concerned. And it finds whether, you know, it was the Mumbai attacks, 26/11, or Pathankot, or any of the other attacks, we've had the international community with us. And that is why you would see, Parikshit, that when we had the surgical strike in 2016, September, or we had the Balakot in February 2019, the whole world stood with us. No one really came out, you know, to have a critical word. So I think in this time also, the world stands with India. You know, India has issued these sketches again that you are showing on your screens. And out of them, you know, 4 sketches have been shown, have been shared with the public. And there it says that out of these 4, 3 of them are from Lashkar or TRF, and only 1 of them is a local, you know, accomplice. Now, of course, these sort of attacks cannot be completed without, you know, they cannot be carried out without local support.
Ambassador Sajjanar, I'm going to read out an important tweet that has come from the MEA spokesperson, Randir Jaiswal. And the question to you, Michael Kugelman, is this. Michael Kugelman, a well-known foreign policy analyst, joining us from US, a close watcher of India-Pakistan relations as well. Michael, the MEA has tweeted, Vice President J.D. Vance called Prime Minister Narendra Modi strongly condemning the dastardly terror attack in J&K. He conveyed his deepest condolences on the loss of lives and reiterated that the US stands with the people of India in this difficult hour. He expressed that the US is ready to provide all assistance in the joint fight against terrorism. How do you see the US reacting to an attack of this kind when the Vice President of America was visiting India? He was giving a speech in the Rajasthan International Center when this attack happened in Jammu and Kashmir. How seriously do you expect this administration to take this?
Well, first of all, let me offer my condolences for this horrific attack. It's simply abhorrent. Clearly, the administration in Washington will take this very seriously. This is an administration that takes the issue of terrorism extremely seriously, and that's how the first Trump administration operated as well. And you'll recall when the Pulwama attack happened in 2019, the Trump administration back then was offering or was similarly responding very similarly with a very strong condemnation of the attack and pledges of solidarity with India, just like in this case. And you're right. I mean, the fact that the U.S. Vice President was in India when this attack happened, I think it'll bring it closer to home, so to speak, for the U.S. Administration. But I think that, in line with what one of your other panelists noted, this is how the world on the whole is reacting. I mean, we're seeing a unified response internationally to this attack. And what's particularly significant that even some countries like China, Turkey, Saudi Arabia that have close ties with Pakistan, they also have condemned it. So I think that the U.S. response has been very much in line with what we've seen from around the world. And indeed, I suspect that the U.S. in the coming days will be in close touch with India. It will offer support. It's unclear what exactly that means in practice. But I think the important thing to emphasize here is that the U.S. will certainly take this extremely seriously. And, just because of obviously the scale of the attack, as well as targeting, the fact that these were civilians that were targeted makes it particularly egregious. And it's something that will certainly be high on the priority list for, an administration that certainly has a lot on its plate in Washington. But this certainly will be a key priority for the administration to monitor in the coming days.
Right. And we do remember during the Galwan attack and the tensions between India and China, those who had served in the first Trump administration say US and India had coordinated responses and shared intelligence very closely during that period as well. We'd also like to tell our viewers that the Ministry of External Affairs is going to be addressing a press conference at 7 p.m. this evening. This will be the government's view after deliberations. Remember, the Cabinet Committee on Security is also taking place this evening. So the press conference will be held post that. Very important to watch out what the Indian government says there. Let me get in Anju Gupta at this point again. Ms. Gupta, one point that is coming up and people are asking is that considering that this was a tourist hotspot and there were so many people there, there were judges of the High Court who were also there for a picnic, so to say. How come there were no security personnel around? How could this be a intelligence failure, so to say? And clearly, the situation was one that the terrorists took advantage of. What do you think was the larger message here?
I think, Parikshit, you're asking me two things. One is about if there was an intelligence failure. I think it is not appropriate to comment on this right now, because I'm sure the government response will also be looking at this aspect, and they will take their time, and there's a methodology by which they would look at this aspect, and I'm sure they will say something. So this is not for me to comment on. The second is message. So to me, there are, this attack is Pakistan's message to four entities. First is to their own people, that this is a revenge for Jafar attack, something that, in which they had taken a public position that India and Afghanistan have done it and we are going to, settle so. So I think it's a message to them. It's a message to security personnel. There were about 100 casualties in that particular attack. Casualties, not fatalities. Second, it's a message also to the separatist elements in Jammu and Kashmir, if any, that look, we very much care for you. We are there, and you stay connected with Pakistan if you have these, thoughts. It's an opportunity for recruitment. See, the big ticket attacks in terrorism are also mounted for propaganda and for recruitment. It is to say that we stand by this cause. Anybody who feels about it, please connect to us. This is for recruitment too. Third is, I think it's a message for powers like the US and Saudi Arabia in this case. Vice President Vance was in India and our Prime Minister Modi was visiting Saudi Arabia. Now, these are two very important states, nations who are also friends with each other. What is the message? The message is that you may have very good relations with India, but Kashmir issue is not settled. Why I'm saying so is that for the last couple of weeks, Pakistan has upped the ante on Palestine front. The clerics have been holding big meetings, rallies in Pakistan, including Grand Mufti, who've been issuing fatwa calling for jihad in favor of Palestine. Something that they've suddenly started doing it. So they may be linking it to Kashmir as they have done earlier on. That's my assessment as of now on the basis of what has come out. Fourth, it is also a message for Taliban with whom they have, very hostile relationship. It is to actually project the strength and capability for counter cross-border operations of this kind far away from the border region. So to me, at this moment, I would say these four messages look pretty clear to me. But I'm sure there is more to it. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Let me get in Ahmed Ali Fayaz once again. Ahmed Ali Fayaz, do you feel that considering that these terrorists hit tourists, this was a very important part of the Kashmir economy? A lot of revenue comes in from tourists. There were locals who also died. For example, there was a pony owner there who died. There were pony owners who rushed when they heard gunshots to help the people. Locals tried to help wherever they can. Do you feel that this shows that this time there was a lot of anger among people, that here you have Pakistani terrorists hitting our bread and butter, hitting our own people? Do you think this shows that there was a lot of anger with what has happened?
I think the objective is the same, which has been over the years, to separate fear and to tell the world and the people of Jammu and Kashmir and the whole country that militancy, the terrorism has not gone away. We are very much here. Abrogation of Article 370 has not changed the situation at the ground. These are the broader messages they wanted to convey. Yes, this is an attack on Kashmir's economy, because tourism is a mainstay of Kashmir economy. Over 2 million people are directly, indirectly related to tourism, and I have seen people across Jammu and Kashmir today who are completely perturbed and disturbed over this development. And also there have been condemnations from clergy, even the clerics who have usually been pro-separatist and pro-Pakistan. They also have been condemning it openly. Usually they used to be silent, or their condemnations in the past used to be equivocal. They didn't appear to be very clear-cut against the militants and against Pakistan. But this time it is different. Even the chairman of the Hurriyat Conference, Mirwais Umar Farooq, came out with a tweet against it. This incident, they have been condemning such incidents in the past also, but they have been creating suspicion, and they have been raising questions that whosoever has done it. This has been their phrase, whosoever has done it. So at most of the times, they, as I said previously, they have created impression that there are people within the security forces, within the Indian agencies. They have been committing these things, and they have been shielding militants for anything which the common people believe that these are the acts of terrorists. But this time it's one voice from the mainstream politicians to the separatist politicians, from clergy, from
Right.
There's not an organized.
Ahmed Fayaz?
Yes.
Right. Ahmed Fayaz, I'm going to come back to you. Very important points there about the mood in the valley. But Ambassador Sajjanar, if I were to ask you about India's response, what do you think we can do in terms of internationally isolating Pakistan? We've done that previously when there have been terror attacks. Can India impose sanctions? What more can we do from a diplomatic point of view?
Yeah, I think there are many things that we can do from diplomatic point of view, and there are so many things that have been mentioned that are up in the air as to what are the possibilities, walking out of the Indus Waters Treaty, etc. So, I'll not go into any of those, but I think what the country wants is a more robust response, something that will make the pain go to, the perpetrators of this crime, not only to the 4 or 7 of the terrorists who were actively involved in this. So I think that is what the country wants. And I think that is going by the track record of this government, that, what happened after Uri, what happened after Pulwama. And also the fact, mind you, Parikshit, keep in mind that, this government has been very critical of the lack of action by, the government in 2008 after the 26/11 attacks, that no action was taken. And this government has sought to differentiate itself from that particular, or the inaction at that particular time when we lost 167 people. So I think definitely some sort of a kinetic response. Maybe there is also some diplomatic response also, but even if there's a kinetic response, which I think will definitely be coming, that is what Raksha Mantri Rajnath Singh has also said. But we'll find that the whole world stands by us as they have stood by us in earlier actions. Parikshit, if you permit, I will just like to make two brief comments on what Anju mentioned about what the objectives might have been as far as Pakistan is concerned. You know, the objectives might have been what they are, but let us also see how successful will they be in achieving that. So if it is in terms of, further, once again, internationalizing Kashmir, I think they are going to fail miserably. We've seen that, when G20, we had meetings in Srinagar, we had representatives from the United States, we had representatives from Saudi, from UAE. There is investment coming in from these countries into that region. So I think the people have really moved on as far as the Kashmir issue is concerned. The other, in terms of sort of, telling Saudi Arabia and the United States that Kashmir is alive, it's not settled. I don't think, you look at what Pakistan says at all the UN General Assembly meetings. There is not a single country, except maybe Turkey once in a while, that rises up to mention Kashmir in their statements. And on the Taliban issue, I think the Taliban has taken the measure of what Pakistan can do. So whether it is the Afghan Taliban or TTP or BLA, I think they know what they are doing, and actions like this, of course, will not really be able to send much of a message. They might have wanted to do all that, what Anju has said, but I think they're not going to be successful in that.
Okay, we've completely run out of time, but we'd like to thank Ambassador Sajjan Har, Ahmed Fayaz, Michael Kugelman and Ms. Anju Gupta for joining us on the program. As we wrap this show, it has been a traumatic last 24 hours for families of the victims. Navy officer Vinay Narwal, one of the victims, was on leave after getting married a week ago. He was on his honeymoon when he was gunned down. Navy Chief Admiral Dinesh K. Tripathi paid a mark of respect by laying a wreath at the mortal remains of Vinay. His wife was also seen bidding an emotional farewell to him. Vinay's wife is among many others who have lost their loved ones. Families and friends of victims recounted the harrowing details of the attack, which led to tragedy in Pahalgam.
जो ये वाक़ा हमारे मेहमानों के साथ हिंदुस्तान से आए हुए उन नौजवानों के साथ जो ये वाक़ा हुआ, उस खास करके हमारे इस रिश्ते में एक शरीफ नफ्स ये बच्चा जो घोड़े का काम करता था, जो इसको मार दिया गया, हम इसकी मजम्मत करते हैं.
Another person, Shomir Guho, and his family also went to Kashmir, and they were supposed to come back today, but they were. Samir Guho was also killed. His wife and his also children is there. We are standing in front of his house. We have with us the local people who were friendly to Shomir Guho. ये बताइए दादा कि मतलब ये आप लोगों को पता था कि वो घूमने जा रहे हैं?
हाँ, 14 तारीख को हमसे बात हुआ है, वो बोले कि घूमने जा रहे हैं और ये हमारे नेबर है. ऐसा होने से हम लोग को क्या स्थिति होता है, हम लोग कहाँ है, क्या कुछ नहीं पता चल रहा है कि हम लोग किस राज्य में बास कर रहे हैं, कहाँ बास कर रहे हैं.
My sister and her son are okay. They didn't had any injuries, but they were under shock. And meanwhile, my brother-in-law's status was not known, and he had to be airlifted because of his injuries. Later, after half an hour, I got the news, shocking news.
कोई अपील, कोई संदेश जनता से, सरकार से, कुछ भी आप कहना चाहेंगे?
मैं ये अकेला नहीं बोलूँगा, यहाँ पे पूरा महाराष्ट्र या पूरा इंडिया बोलेगा यहाँ पे कि उनको कड़ी से कड़ी सज़ा होनी चाहिए. ये 4-5 जन नहीं है, उनके पीछे बहुत बड़ी साजिश है ये चीज़ के लिए. तो उन सबको आज एक साथ में, जैसे 26/11 हुआ था, ये दूसरा आतंकी बड़ा हमला मैं ऐसा मानता हूँ.